Good afternoon from London. Great to have the opportunity to be among you, even if not physically due to challenges, but I'm really glad we found this way to share a few thoughts with you. So I was asked to offer a few thoughts about the future of partnerships. So let me start with the good news. If your research area is mentioned at least 3 times in the annual theme description, then you're on to greatness and good things are gonna come your way. In fact, if you search under the term cross-sector collaboration in the online program, you're going to get 5 sessions. If you change the term to partnerships, you're going to get a return of 75 sessions. So that is a strong indication that our area of research moves center stage in the academy. And of course, this is visible in the practice domain and gradually in the academic literature. But I'd like to pick up upon 2 themes, 2 issues on the theme that I mentioned. The first one is that governing across sectorial boundaries is far more challenging theoretically and messy empirically than governing within and across same sector organizations. This is an important distinction that we need to keep clarifying because by looking at the differences, we will be able to challenge our fundamental assumptions about organizations and organizing. The papers actually presented here today do make this point that it's not about designing systems that will be put forward, that will put forward the right organizations and at the right time, but it's actually about deciding the configurations of actors, i.e., who is on the table, and selecting the attributes of organizations which will be useful in designing the governance processes. The second point that I'd like to pick up on is, can actually the DNA of organizations really change? Can we actually expect to see intelligent government bodies that will devise governance structures able to regulate private organizations by encouraging at the same time decentralized initiatives? I would be highly skeptical about that. Just as a small example, for 3 weeks and after 3 calls to one of our intelligent governmental bodies, I'm still waiting to receive a very simple certificate testifying that I'm a taxpayer. The other point in the theme description is that pharmaceuticals will start distributing drugs to NGOs through public hospitals. We know this can happen sometimes, and particularly in poverty-stricken regions, but how likely is it that it's going to happen routinely? This is why we need an alternative vision. It may be easier to transition our societies to new organizing structures by design. So such structures will need to be plastic, i.e. unbound by organizational limitations as much as possible, and incorporating the current missing collective and political dimensions. Most partnerships do not have either. The large-scale collective is often ignored, and the political dimension is not encouraged, if not silenced. The fundamental tension that our field is called to manage is how the interest of multiple actors will arrive at an optimum balance that will incorporate the interest of those peripheral or distant from the direct interactions. So how to involve many and give them voice. In this way, partnership might have the potential to actually play an important role in societal governance, what Andy Crane calls the governance with capital G, instead of using actually partnerships as a legitimation process of businesses. Such large-scale partnerships are already exist. They do already exist. So, for example, Amelia Clark and her team are working on partnerships that involve 100 plus partners. A very relevant symposium that will take place on Tuesday is on opening planetary governance, co-organized by Sandra Wardog, where actually Jonathan Doe is going to speak. These collaborative governance systems will also need large-scale resources. This is already happening in public-private partnerships, where resources are being transferred for long periods of time to private interest through a process in which, however, participation is limited to very few parties. Transitioning large-scale resources is also happening in non-profit governance partnerships by allowing non-profits to design healthcare service provision for citizens. The problem is that we respond to these new processes with expectations that stem from our previous sectorial understandings. In effect, we carry over the previous problems instead of really designing new solutions. So for this paradigm shift in practice and in theory to happen, we need to primarily stop operating in theoretical and empirical silos in order to design large-scale collaborative systems that will be able to meet our huge challenges, such as the waves of aging population, health and environmental challenges, migration, and global economic contraction. Such challenges are going to test to the limit our collaboration skills in non-market conditions, an important area of research that Jonathan Pinsky's and Angelique's research concentrate upon. Hence, new collaborative governance skills will be required for practice, but importantly, we need to integrate them in the curriculum. You can get a feel on how to do that by participating in a symposium that aims to demonstrate how you can integrate the first UN PRME principle in the curriculum. Jennifer Lee is a speaker in this PDW, and I'm sure she can give you more information. So for this new paradigm shift, we need to concentrate upon three issues. The first is decentering organizational actors. The second one is refocusing on interaction that has the potential to reshape organizational and individual identities, i.e. reconfiguring organizations, but more importantly, redefining the dimensions of the very interaction, and hence setting new processes into motion that will influence the distribution of outcomes for many rather than few. And finally, reintroducing politics as a way of incorporating the large-scale collective dimension. Following two main points from the above that we need to concentrate upon for these future open governance systems are: instead of allowing organizational actors to prevail in partnerships, we need to think, how can we transition resources and attributes to the process of interaction? And the second, instead of aiming to control the discomfort that would be caused by external criticism and possible failure due to lack of participation and feedback, how can we actually integrate opportunities of diverse interests and allow them to inform the process? Focusing on those 2 points accepts the possibility of profound organizational change, but far more importantly, of societal change. By developing such collaborative governance systems that have such priorities and properties, we can spark the development of a societal self-regulation mechanism that will allow us to adopt a meta-level of understanding of both our priorities and consequences of our actions, i.e., instead of thinking about recycling, to think about designing out waste from the beginning, because we are able to understand what really should be our priority, and if that is not our priority, what might be the consequences. Why is this important? Well, because it might contribute to speeding up the transition to new models, and in particular to new ecocentric models that we are in desperate need for. So the fundamental question to ask is, are cross-sector collaboration solutions beneficial for all on our planet? Learning to operate in such collaborative governance systems can provide very useful insights for us as academics and developing important skills. This is why we are actually developing such an online platform that will bring together the Cross-Sectoral Social Interaction Symposia series and the Annual Review of Social Partnerships as the first 2 collaborative projects that we can all be involved in. As you know, next year, the Cross-Sectoral Social Interactions, the 5th one, will be organized by Andy Crane and Amelia Clark at the Schulich School of Business, in Toronto. And the Annual Review of Social Partnerships, you can find information about this through Jennifer, Arno, and Verena, who are the senior editors. We will also aim to provide through this platform an ongoing opportunities for interaction throughout the year in order to develop research teams, but also involve practitioners, facilitate early feedback, and the all relevant research dissemination. Developing a collaborative governance system across countries and social issues in action and experimenting is our next big challenge, in which we hope that you will all join. We look forward to continuing our interactions under this new platform, where we want to support PhD students but also learn from senior scholars. Thank you so much to all the facilitators and the senior scholars for participating, but also importantly to the researchers who presented their research and gave us a glimpse of the important forthcoming research. Good luck moving forward your research, and we look forward to interacting with all of you in the future. Thank you all very much.